Robinson Crusoe.
Chapter 1. Setting Sail. Robinson Crusoe recounts the beginnings of his adventurous life, tracing it back to his birth in 1632 in York, England. Born into a family with a military background, Crusoe finds himself torn between familial expectations and his own desires. His father, a German immigrant, urges him to pursue a stable career in law, emphasizing the virtues of a middle-class life. Despite his initial resolve to heed his father's advice, Crusoe's passion for the sea proves too strong to resist. Against his family's wishes, Crusoe surrenders to temptation and embarks on a journey to London with a friend. However, his first encounter with the harsh realities of sea travel occurs during a tumultuous storm near Yarmouth. Fearing for his life, Crusoe prays for salvation and survives the ordeal, interpreting it as a divine sign to abandon his seafaring ambitions. Upon reaching London, Crusoe encounters a sea captain who presents him with the opportunity to join a merchant voyage. Eager for adventure and financial gain, Crusoe invests in the venture, eventually reaping a substantial profit. Buoyed by his success, he sets out on another expedition, only to fall prey to Moorish pirates off the coast of Salé, North Africa. Chapter 2. Captive of the Sea. Captured by the pirates, Crusoe finds himself enslaved and separated from his familiar world. Forced into labor, he discovers solace in his innate skill as a fisherman, assigned by his Moorish master to ply the waters for sustenance. Amidst the monotony of his captivity, Crusoe's resilience and resourcefulness begin to surface. As fate would have it, a fog-shrouded day becomes the harbinger of change. His master's decision to equip their vessel with a compass and gunpowder for an anticipated shooting party offers Crusoe an opportunity for escape. Seizing the moment, Crusoe plots his breakout with calculated precision. Chapter 3. A Leap Towards Freedom. With the aid of two fellow slaves, Ismael and Shuri, Crusoe stages his daring escape. Cunningly dispatching Ismael into the sea, Crusoe leverages fear and intimidation to secure Shuri's allegiance. Together, they set sail southward, propelled by Crusoe's determination to regain his liberty. Their journey is fraught with peril and uncertainty, yet Crusoe's unwavering resolve propels them forward. From encountering wild beasts to navigating encounters with unfamiliar peoples, each obstacle serves to fortify Crusoe's determination. Their fortunes take a pivotal turn when they chance upon a European vessel manned by a compassionate Portuguese captain. Extended a lifeline of opportunity, Crusoe and Shuri seize the chance for a fresh start, setting their sights on Brazil and a future unbound by the chains of captivity. Through adversity and adversity alike, Robinson Crusoe's journey unfolds as a testament to the indomitable human spirit and the enduring quest for freedom and self-discovery amidst the vast expanse of the open sea. Chapter 4. Becoming a Brazilian Planter. Having journeyed for 22 days, I, Crusoe, finally set foot on the shores of Brazil. Farewells were exchanged with the Portuguese captain, who had been a generous host throughout our voyage. With gratitude in my heart, I accepted his parting gifts and began acquainting myself with the land and its people. It wasn't long before I met my Anglo-Brazilian neighbor, sparking within me the ambition to become a tobacco planter. Despite initial struggles, for 2 years I managed to scrape by, barely earning enough to sustain myself. However, perseverance bore fruit, and by the 3rd year, my fortunes began to turn. Yet, in hindsight, I couldn't shake the thought of the labor potential lost when I parted ways with Shuri, the slave boy I had sold. Having confided in the Portuguese captain about the £200 I had left in England, I was pleasantly surprised when arrangements were made for a portion of it to be sent to me in Brazil, along with numerous other gifts. This unexpected windfall left me feeling quite affluent. Driven by a desire to expand my business further, I entertained the proposition of voyaging to Guinea for black slaves, in collaboration with an acquaintance who promised me a share of the profits. Chapter 5. Setting Sail in Perilous Waters. On the 1st of September, 1659, I embarked on a perilous journey towards Guinea aboard a ship laden with trinkets destined for the slave trade. As we sailed along the South American coast, a ferocious storm descended upon us, claiming the lives of 2 of our crew members. Fear gripped my heart as I contemplated the fragility of my existence. Our troubles did not end there. Another tempest assailed us as we reached the Caribbean, mercilessly driving our ship onto the unforgiving sands, rendering the rudder useless. With the ship doomed, the crew scrambled into lifeboats hoping to reach the safety of the shore. However, a monstrous wave swept us apart, leaving me alone to fend for myself. As I finally washed ashore, gratitude flooded my soul, and I offered fervent prayers to the divine for my deliverance. Yet, amidst the solace of survival, I mourned the loss of my comrades, never to be seen again. Chapter 6. Resourcefulness amidst adversity. With the dawn of a new day, I ventured to explore the wreckage of our ill-fated vessel. Swimming around it, I discovered a means of access via a hanging chain, allowing me to salvage what I could. Determined to endure, I constructed a raft from the broken remnants of the ship, loading it with provisions salvaged from the wreckage. Guided by necessity, I sought refuge in a secluded cove, where I unloaded my makeshift vessel. Despite the desolation of my surroundings, I found sustenance in the form of wildfowl and fresh water. Returning to the ship multiple times over the following days, I salvaged what I could, including a sum of 36 pounds, which held little value in my current predicament, yet with each passing day, I fortified my resolve to survive against the odds. Chapter 7. Building a haven. Wary of potential threats, I resolved to fortify my position on the island. Selecting a strategic location overlooking the sea, I erected wooden stakes to form the framework of my shelter, which I aptly dubbed my fortress. Ensuring the safety of my provisions, I constructed a cellar to store essential supplies, including my precious gunpowder. Despite moments of apprehension, I found solace in the security of my newfound abode. Discovering wild goats on the island, I hunted for sustenance, marking each day's passing with a notch on a large cross erected in the sand. As time wore on, I chronicled my experiences in a journal, lamenting the absence of passing ships, yet harboring hope for eventual rescue. Thus, with determination as my compass, I embarked on a journey of survival amidst the untamed wilderness, forging a life anew on the solitary shores of an unforgiving island. Chapter 8. The Journal. In Chapter 8, Crusoe grants us access to his journal, starting from September 30th, 1659, marking the commencement of his narrative about life on the Island of Despair, as he aptly names it. He recounts familiar events, the discovery of the shipwreck's remnants, his resourcefulness in salvaging provisions, the destructive storm that obliterates the ship, the construction of his abode, and more. He laments losing track of Sundays, unable to observe the Sabbath religiously. Crusoe meticulously documents the crafting of various furniture pieces and tools, along with his first successful attempt at domesticating a goat. Chapter 9. I throw away the husks of corn. Continuing his journal, Crusoe narrates his unsuccessful endeavor to domesticate pigeons and his ingenuity in producing candles from goat fat. He recounts a fortuitous incident where discarded corn husks sprouted into barley plants, providing him with a sustainable source of bread. On April 16th, an earthquake rattles him as he stands in his cellar entrance. After enduring 2 aftershocks, he's relieved to escape unharmed, albeit shaken. Chapter 10. It blows a most dreadful hurricane. Following the earthquake, a fierce hurricane descends upon Crusoe's island. Seeking refuge in his cave, he carves a drain for his dwelling to combat the deluge. Fearing the precariousness of his cliffside abode, Crusoe considers relocating but is distracted by the discovery of casks of gunpowder and other ship remnants washed ashore by the hurricane. He dedicates days to salvaging these materials for practical use, furthering his resourcefulness and resilience in the face of nature's wrath. Chapter 11. I am very ill and frightened. Enduring relentless rains for over a week, Crusoe finds himself engulfed by a fever and agonizing headache, rendering him too feeble to even fetch water despite his parched throat. In the throes of his illness, he beseeches divine mercy, grappling with his mortality. Amidst a delirious state, he witnesses a spectral figure descending from ominous clouds, wielding a menacing weapon and admonishing him for his lack of repentance despite numerous providential interventions. This haunting vision prompts Crusoe to reflect on his ingratitude, leading him to offer his first earnest prayer for relief from his afflictions. Miraculously, the following day brings a glimmer of recovery, albeit with lingering weakness. Wrestling with feelings of self-pity and subsequent remorse, he turns to tobacco and rum for solace, inadvertently stumbling upon a poignant passage in the Bible that resonates deeply with him. Plunged into an extended slumber, Crusoe awakens to a renewed sense of gratitude, opting to abstain from consuming wildfowl while convalescing and instead sustains himself with turtle eggs. Immersing himself in the New Testament, he grapples with remorse over his past transgressions, gradually embracing his solitary existence as a redemptive journey. Chapter 12. I take a survey of the island. Amidst the sweltering heat of July, Crusoe, now in his 10th month of solitude, acknowledges the capriciousness of the island's climate, attributing his fate solely to divine providence. Determined to explore his surroundings comprehensively, he stumbles upon sugarcane and grapes, reveling in the splendor of a picturesque valley. Fantasizing about his dominion over this newfound realm, Crusoe diligently crafts a bower, reveling in the burgeoning presence of cats. Commemorating his first year on the island with a solemn fast, he resolves to abandon his journal after exhausting his ink supply. Chapter 13. I sow my grain. Learning from his initial misjudgment of planting during the dry season, Crusoe devises a farming schedule aligned with the island's climatic patterns, fostering the growth of his crops. Witnessing the transformation of wooden stakes into a verdant hedge over the years, he also hones his basket-weaving skills, reminiscing about simpler times. With only a few essentials remaining to complete his makeshift abode, Crusoe's ingenuity thrives amidst his solitude. Chapter 14. I travel quite across the island. Fulfilling his long-standing desire to explore the island in its entirety, Crusoe ventures to its western expanse, spotting distant lands hinting at Spanish America. Tempered by fears of encountering cannibals, he encounters diverse fauna, including a parrot he teaches to mimic speech and a forlorn goat kid he rescues and nurtures. Despite moments of contentment, bouts of despondency punctuate Crusoe's days, tempered only by his unwavering faith in divine providence, as encapsulated in the comforting verses of the Bible. Chapter 15. I am very seldom idle. Crusoe's days on the island are marked by industriousness. He dedicates himself to various tasks, starting with the construction of a shelf for his dwelling, a simple yet significant addition to his abode. The rainy months prompt him to tend to his crops of rice and grain, but his efforts are thwarted by birds that ravage his harvest. In response, he resorts to shooting the birds and using their carcasses as scarecrows, successfully protecting his crops. With the arrival of harvest time, Crusoe embarks on the intricate process of grain processing, grinding flour, and baking bread. He also endeavors to create earthenware pots, initially struggling but eventually mastering the craft of shaping, firing, and glazing. Despite his contentment with his island life, thoughts of sailing to the mainland linger. Crusoe revisits the site where the ship's boat lies upturned, a constant reminder of his failed attempts to leave. Frustrated by his inability to overturn the boat, he resolves to construct a canoe instead. Chapter 16. I make myself a canoe. Crusoe commits himself to the ambitious task of crafting a canoe from a massive cedar tree. Months pass as he tirelessly works to shape and hollow out the canoe, creating a vessel larger than any he has seen before. However, his excitement dims when he realizes the impracticality of moving the canoe alone. Contemplating his isolation and the passage of time, Crusoe reflects on the coincidence of significant events in his life. Despite his solitary existence, he finds solace in his self-sufficiency, fashioning clothing from animal skins and even fashioning an umbrella. Determined to explore the island further, Crusoe constructs a smaller canoe and sets out on a voyage. Yet his journey takes a perilous turn when he is ensnared by a treacherous current, narrowly escaping being swept away from the island forever. Grateful for his survival, Crusoe is startled to hear his name called repeatedly upon his return, only to discover it's his parrot, Paul, who has learned to mimic his voice. Chapter 17. I improve myself in the mechanic exercises. Preferring the safety of land, Crusoe spends a peaceful year honing his skills in basket making and pottery. Concerned about his dwindling gunpowder supply and the necessity of hunting for sustenance, he ventures into animal husbandry. Through ingenuity and patience, he successfully traps and raises a flock of goats, expanding his self-sufficiency with dairy products like cheese and butter. Surveying his island domain, Crusoe revels in his mastery over his surroundings, dining luxuriously amidst his animal companions. With 2 plantations, fields, and enclosures, he lives as a ruler of his own realm, content in his solitude, yet yearning for human connection. Chapter 18. Discovery of the footprint. One day, amidst his solitary existence on the deserted island, Robinson Crusoe stumbled upon a startling sight, a single naked footprint imprinted upon the sandy shore. Initially stricken with terror, Crusoe retreated to the safety of his makeshift fortress, entertaining the idea that perhaps the devil himself had set foot upon the island. Yet, upon further contemplation, the realization dawned upon him that the print belonged to a living, breathing man, sending shivers down his spine. This paradox of craving human companionship yet fearing its presence drove Crusoe to fortify his abode, arming himself against the unknown. Chapter 19. Carnage on the shore. As Crusoe ventured along the shoreline, he encountered a grim tableau. Human remains strewn across the sand, evidence of the cannibalistic practices of the island's inhabitants. Initially filled with thoughts of vengeance, Crusoe entertained notions of becoming the arbiter of justice, but soon recoiled from the idea, recognizing the folly in taking divine retribution into his own hands. Realizing the potential consequences of his actions, he resolved to maintain a cautious distance from the cannibals, refraining from interfering in their affairs. Chapter 20. Evading detection. In an effort to evade detection by the cannibals, Crusoe adopted a series of precautionary measures, minimizing his presence on the island. He eschewed fires, concealed his tracks, and even devised covert methods of cooking his meals. A chance encounter with a startled goat in a cavernous hideout prompted Crusoe to consider relocating, while his vigilance atop a lookout spot revealed the fleeting presence of cannibalistic savages on the beach below. Chapter 21. Discovery of the shipwreck. The tranquility of Crusoe's solitary existence was shattered by the distant report of gunfire, signaling the presence of a shipwreck offshore. With a sense of urgency, Crusoe kindled a beacon to attract potential rescuers, only to discover the tragic fate that had befallen the vessel's crew. Despite the somber scene, Crusoe counted his blessings, grateful for his own survival amidst the wreckage. Salvaging provisions from the ship, including valuable treasures, Crusoe returned to his dwelling, pondering the mysteries of fate and fortune. Chapter 22. Encounter with Friday. Haunted by his past transgressions and the specter of his own mortality, Crusoe's solitary reverie was interrupted by a vivid dream of cannibalistic invaders. In a twist of fate, his dream foretold the arrival of a native man fleeing from certain death at the hands of his own kind. Moved by compassion, Crusoe intervened, repelling the attackers and offering sanctuary to the grateful survivor, whom he named Friday in honor of their fateful encounter. Chapter 23. Bonding with Friday. In the aftermath of their fortuitous meeting, Crusoe and Friday forged a bond of friendship and mutual dependence. Through patient instruction, Crusoe imparted the rudiments of language and civilization to his newfound companion, guiding him away from the barbarism of his past. Together, they endeavored to cultivate the land and sustain themselves, as Crusoe marveled at the transformative power of human connection amidst the desolation of their island home. Chapter 24. Building Bonds and Discoveries. Crusoe's relationship with Friday deepens as they engage in rudimentary conversations, revealing more about each other's backgrounds and beliefs. Friday discloses that cannibals visit the island periodically, adding an ominous edge to their solitude. Through their discussions, Crusoe learns they are near Trinidad. Despite the language barrier, Crusoe endeavors to impart religious teachings to Friday, who shows a remarkable understanding of spirituality but struggles with the concept of evil. Crusoe realizes his own limitations in religious instruction, humbled by Friday's questions. Friday shares news of shipwreck survivors living among the natives, stirring conflicting emotions in Crusoe, torn between his desire for companionship and his fear of losing Friday. Together they decide to build another canoe, planning a voyage to Friday's homeland. Chapter 25. Confronting the Cannibals. Before they can embark on their journey, the cannibals arrive on the island with gruesome intentions. Crusoe, grappling with moral dilemmas, justifies defense against the cannibals due to Friday's status as an enemy combatant. They engage in a fierce confrontation, emerging victorious but also discovering European prisoners among the captives. Friday's joy at finding his father among the captives underscores the complexities of their situation. Crusoe takes in the prisoners, reflecting on the growth of his kingdom with new subjects. Chapter 26. A Return to the Mainland. Conversations with the rescued captives reignite Crusoe's desire to return to the mainland. Consulting with Friday's father and a Spaniard, Crusoe contemplates the logistics of such a venture. Recognizing the need for increased food production and manpower, he expands his agricultural efforts and arms the newcomers. Chapter 27. Quelling a Mutiny. The tranquility of their island is disrupted by the arrival of an English boat, sparking suspicion in Crusoe. Investigating further, they discover a mutiny has taken place aboard the ship. Crusoe negotiates with the captain, offering freedom in exchange for passage to England. Aware of potential reinforcements, Crusoe and Friday strategize to disarm and subdue the mutineers. Through cunning tactics and decisive action, they manage to quell the rebellion, with the captain fabricating a story to maintain control.